Welcome to the Brad Link Podcast, your home for expert wedding planning advice. It's right before Thanksgiving, and I think that is the perfect time to start talking about family drama. If you're concerned about having any family drama during your wedding day or just during the process of planning your wedding, today's podcast is for you. We've got 3 of our top tips on how to deal with family drama and how to alleviate stress surrounding it. Our first and most important tip is to hire a day of wedding coordinator. And if you tell me you can't afford a day of wedding coordinator, then assign a really good friend or family member that's really organized to act as your day of wedding coordinator. You don't have to hire a professional if you can't afford it, but you do have to have somebody in charge other than you. Hiring a coordinator will ensure that you have a neutral party on your side and helps the day go more smoothly. If you talk to your coordinator about any family drama beforehand, they can plan accordingly. A strategic plan that includes different aspects of your family can go over things like seating, your photography timing, and anything that needs to happen to make sure certain family members maybe don't cross paths, or certain family members are made to feel special, or that other family members are not causing any drama. Maybe they're not there at all. A day of wedding coordinator can also directly address any issues without you even knowing, or any issues upon your request without you having to be the one to do it and feeling awkward. I can tell you a few stories about being a day of wedding coordinator where family drama happened and it was really important that we were there. First and foremost, we deal with a lot of divorced parents, and that can cause a lot of drama if the divorce didn't end happily and the parents are really not on good terms. If you're in this boat, let me tell you, usually your parents are going to be on their best behavior on your wedding day regardless. So go ahead and let that alleviate some stress right there. But if your divorced parents don't get along, you might want to think about a few things as far as where they're going to sit. Maybe have a grandparent or another person sit in between the two of them in the front row of your ceremony. You might want to think about if your dad is giving you away, involving your mom in that as well somehow, or maybe doing something separate but equal. I've had divorced parents both still walk their daughter down the aisle and both still speak when the pastor asked who's giving this person away. Also, maybe have them each have their own table at the reception that's reserved for them, and they can invite any family member that they want to sit with them. If need be, you can even make sure that those tables are on opposite ends of the room to give them both a little bit of space. Now, also, we've dealt with estranged family members. So, in one case, a sister and a mother had had an argument years before, had never made up, and they really didn't want to be around each other. We had another situation where the mother was actually not really part of a groom's life. He was raised by his father, and the mom was going to attend, but I was to make sure that she sat nowhere near the front row because that was reserved for the groom's VIPs. And another time, we had a mother of a bride that actually had a drug and alcohol problem that took her out of her daughter's life. She was still invited to the wedding, and the daughter hoped that she would attend, but wasn't really sure if she was going to come, and if she did come, what kind of state she was going to be in. For this one in particular, it was really important that I had spoken with the daughter about what was going to happen if her mother showed up and what we were going to do depending on what state she was in. So, of course, if she was on drugs and alcohol, she was going to be asked to leave. But if she was on her best behavior, it was going to be important for her to stay, although the daughter didn't think she was going to stay long. The day of the wedding, the daughter was right. Mom did show up. She didn't stay long, but she was there on her best behavior. Now, something that she did do is she arrived immediately prior to the ceremony demanding to see her daughter. That was when I had to take over as a wedding coordinator and act as a liaison for her daughter, and in her daughter's best interest, her mom was asked to go ahead and take a seat at the ceremony. I wasn't going to put that daughter in a situation where she was going to be overwhelmed with an emotion other than happiness about the fact she was about to get married. Mom was okay with having to skip seeing her daughter, and literally we were lining up. We were getting ready to start the ceremony. And she did get to speak to her daughter after, and then she left probably 30 minutes later. As far as when sister and mom had an argument and never made up, we made sure that the photography timeline included both of them, but at separate times. So the bride got to do pictures with both, but they didn't have to be in the same room for very long and close quarters. And where mom was not in the groom's life, she quietly walked into the ceremony, took a seat in the back row, stayed for a short period of the reception, and then left on her own. So if you talk to your wedding coordinator about different options and how you want them to react, they can react as a liaison on your behalf where you don't have to be involved and you don't have to deal with those emotions. And just keep in mind, a lot of times the people are going to be on their best behavior regardless. So the next thing that you can do, our next tip, is for you to set the expectation. Let your family members know your expectations for your wedding day. Communicate any concerns beforehand so you can remind the family about how much their support means to you. This also allows your family to notify you if anything they may need to remain drama-free on your wedding day is important. So, for example, I once had a client that hated his stepmom. And during one of our first meetings, he let me know that he didn't want stepmom to be anywhere near the ceremony, much less a part of walking in the processional, but he really didn't want to tell her himself. So his best plan was to have her arrive with his father to the rehearsal, line up, and pretend to be part of the ceremony, and then have me politely tell her that she's not allowed to be part of it. Involving me as a wedding coordinator can be something that we plan on the day of when I'm reacting to other people's actions. But involving me as a wedding coordinator to flat out tell somebody that they're not well liked and they can't be part of a ceremony is way above and beyond my pay grade or what should be expected. And also, what it does is it can create some instant family drama right in front of everybody at a time when you're supposed to be practicing about one of the most important days of your life. You're making the family drama take over if you're bringing it into any other event like a bridal shower, a rehearsal, or a rehearsal dinner, or the day of the wedding. Make sure that you set the expectation with your family members before the day of any event. So that way they're already aware of what your expectations and feelings are and they can react accordingly. Catching anybody off guard never goes well, and doing it in front of a line full of people is surely a recipe for disaster. Now, when you set those expectations, you don't have to do it alone. It's okay to have another family member or your future spouse present to be there for you. In this case, I recommended that the groom have a private talk with his father first, and then a sit down with his stepmom, his father, and his wife-to-be. This was going to happen way before the rehearsal, so that way feelings could be resolved before it caused any drama around the wedding day. And let me tell you, the bride was really stressed about this too. All in all, after sitting together as a family and hashing everything out, they decided to go ahead and let stepmom be part of the ceremony. And honestly, the day of the wedding, the groom was totally okay with it. It might have been better that they talked things out before. Now, also, this support system that you have, maybe your spouse to be or another family member, can help you on the wedding day if anybody that you expected to potentially cause drama is not on their best behavior. Don't be afraid to show some tough love with the hard stance that if somebody can't be on their best behavior, they flat out can't come. And you can ask your support system to ask somebody to leave if things go that far. This is also where a wedding coordinator can come in handy because you don't have to do anything awkward. Now, tip number 3 is to take other people into consideration. Avoiding family drama on your wedding day can sometimes require some consideration as you plan different aspects of the event. You may choose to walk down the aisle with more than one person or opt out of having a wedding party altogether so no one's feelings get hurt. These choices can alleviate stress on your party and your family and also prevent conflict. Considering what works best for you to feel the most comfortable on your wedding day is what matters most. But being able to consider others as well and how that affects you is also important. Being considerate, even though it's quote unquote your day, can go a long way and also encourage others to meet you in the middle and accommodate your requests. Even further, if you just focus on the fact that the two of you are getting married that day, and that's the most important thing, and then you try not to sweat the small details and things you can't control, you should really be able to de stress. Again, having a point person, whether it's a wedding coordinator or just a trusted family friend that can react as a liaison on your behalf the day of the wedding, also knows your feelings and how you want them to react, can go a long way in making sure that you're able to distress and not worry about a thing except for actually getting married. We have a ceremony cheat sheet for you. It's pretty simple, but what it does is it makes you think about who's going to be sitting in your front row and in what order. So if you're afraid of divorced parents being a little unkind to each other, you can go ahead and hash that out. Bring this ceremony cheat sheet with you when you have a talk with them and see where everybody feels comfortable. If you have a wedding party that might get their feelings hurt if they're not the maid of honor, they're not first in line, or oh my goodness, they're the last bridesmaid in the row, you can go ahead and take this ceremony cheat sheet with you when you're trying to figure out the order about everything. We've had wedding parties line up for simple things like height or the way the dress looked, and you can explain that to them. But no matter what, having a ceremony cheat sheet can help you be prepared and also help you be organized the day of. So you can follow the link below to download our ceremony cheat sheet. And for more expert wedding planning advice, follow us at The Bride Link.